Alors, bonsoir tout le monde. Bienvenue à cette réunion
Good evening,
du
everyone, and welcome to this regular public meeting of Dieppe City Council, September 23rd. The City of Dieppe recognizes that the land on which it operates is part of the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq. So, dear colleagues, let's have the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. As you can tell, several of us around the table. Oh, I thought somebody else was speaking. No, everyone here at the table is wearing a colored T-shirt. Dieppe is proud to show its solidarity with the Indigenous people. On September 30th, we will be observing the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. We would like to pay tribute to the victims and to the survivors of the boarding schools, as well as to their families and communities. This evening, we're wearing an orange T-shirt that was inspired by the story of Phyllis Jack Webster. Phyllis, sorry, but she was a survivor of the boarding schools, and she told her story, the story about her first day in a boarding school for Indigenous children. She was only 6 years old. The school staff took away all of her clothes, including an orange sweater that her grandmother had given her. The color orange also represents truth and healing. Next Monday, we will be lighting up the City Hall with orange lights, as well as the Doiron House as well. I would ask residents and employees to consult our website next week, where you will find a lot of interesting information on the history of the Indigenous peoples in Canada. Mr. CAO? Yes, thank you. My mic is already open. Thank you. I'd like to add that last Wednesday, during the annual meeting of staff, we were able to hear the touching testimony of Noel Augustine, who is an elder in his land. And this Wednesday will be the day of the orange T-shirt for all employees of the municipality. Next Monday, in order to commemorate the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, the Aquatic Center and City Hall will be closed, as well as the City Hall and the Doiron House will be lit up in orange in order to pay tribute to the children who were never able to return home, as well as to the survivors of the boarding schools and their families and communities. The public commemoration of the tragic and painful story and the consequences is an essential element of the reconciliation process. From September 17th to October 4th, the Mi'kmaq flag will fly at City Hall. It has been in this council chambers permanently since last fall. Inclusion is at the heart of the values of the City of Dieppe. Our municipality promotes discussions and cohabitation between all different groups and wants to be a welcoming, safe, and inclusive place for the population. Discrimination has no place here. Let's watch each other and let's be open towards each other and show hospitality. Thank you. We all recognize the importance of September 30th. Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you. Thank you. So now let's start the evening. We've had the opening words. I have no specific announcements to make. I'd like to open the meeting. We do have quorum, I see. And yes, there are, Mr. Godet is participating remotely this evening. Does anybody have any conflicts of interest to declare? So let's move on then. Would somebody like to move the adoption of the agenda? Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Jeannin on the question. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye. Contrary, nay. Carried as presented. Which brings us to presentations, inquiries, and petitions. First item would be the presentation by the RCMP. We'd like to welcome a new partner here to speak with us and to give us an update on what's going on in the community. We have Sergeant Sylvette Hébert. Is that right? Yes. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you. Welcome. Good evening, Your Worship, councillors. I'm just going to take a little 2 minutes to introduce myself. My name is Sylvette Hébert. I'm originally from Ville. I tried to hide my accent, but somebody noticed it fairly quickly. So yeah, I'm from New-Brunswick originally, and I've done my 18 years of service for the RCMP here in New Brunswick, mostly in Moncton, but I also spent 3 years in Fredericton. I started on patrol outside of the city of Moncton, and then I went to child exploitation on internet for 10 years. And then 2021, I came to Kodiak, and I think I found my place for the rest of my career. So currently, I'm replacing Ms. Farah, who is the officer in charge of specialized services here in Kodiak. And this is a temporary assignment, my presence here, but I'm going to take advantage of it as long as I can. Thank you. Anything to talk to us about this evening? Yes, I do have several items to bring up. We wanted to invite the members here and members of the community. On October 2nd, the Community Police Service will be organizing a community coffee at the Champlain Mall between 1 and 3 p.m. This is an event that will allow the community to come meet with us, to come talk to us. The objective is to establish links and relationships between us and the people who live here on the territory. We will use this event in order to recruit as well. If there are any young or not so young people who'd like to join the RCMP, we can give them advice, give them information about recruitment. The Community Police Service have done some lockdown practices, drills in several schools. 23 schools have gone through their drills and we're hoping that all the schools will have done the drill by Friday. The patrols are continuing in the school areas in the morning, in the afternoon, and during the day. On September 14th, the community police participated in a barbecue that in order to welcome international students. And I talk about it here because there were some international students from the Dieppe Community College at the event. There were between 400 and 600 international students who participated in the event. Now, in terms of the crime reduction unit, just a brief note, on September 16th and 7th, they apprehended 2 people who had outstanding arrest warrants. One of the two was found with stolen goods, and in the other case, the person was found with drugs. And I'm trying to switch from English to French here, but they were charged with possession um for the purposes of trafficking, of dealing drugs. There is also other the crime reduction unit is also working along with the integrated provincial unit, and they work on traffic issues and human trafficking and property crime as well. 11 people out of 17 who are considered as major repeat offenders in the Kodiak region are in jail currently, which is positive. Now, the General Investigation Unit on September 10th, a search warrant was executed by investigators of this unit in a residence in Moncton. And what's important here is that the investigation was on a child luring. So it's not only the region of Moncton that is benefiting from this event, but the whole population, because a 40-year-old man was arrested, and this man was remanded and will be appearing in court on September 27th. Now, similar file in May of this year, we had received a complaint that a man had sexually assaulted a young child in Moncton. The investigation was underway, and a 53-year-old man from Moncton was arrested. A search warrant was executed in his residence, and digital evidence and other evidence was collected, and he will be appearing in court on November 4th, 2024. Now, in terms of the patrol, a number of the members in Kodiak helped our colleagues in the southeast during the shooting that happened in the last few weeks. And as you know, we were the subject of an alert ready message, which took took the time of a number of our members from Kodiak and elsewhere. 5 people were arrested following this alert ready message. And we'd like to thank the menu for having followed the advice given, and also for having contacted the police when they saw the vehicle. And my last point, the Observer program started up again here in Kodiak. This Observer program is to make the public more familiar with the role of the RCMP and to facilitate and increase access to the RCMP by the residents of Moncton, and to allow individuals to get to know the interactions between the police and the community. It's a program that's used as a recruitment tool as well. This program is for students, to candidates to the RCMP, to elected representatives and members of the media, as well as other people who'd like to know what the police officers do. All the participants have to fill out a form and consent to a record check. So we'd ask any interested persons to contact us, and we'd be happy to welcome them. And that's all for me this evening. Thank you. Thank you. Any questions from council members? Questions, requests for information? So you're getting off easy this evening. Thank you. I think it's just to welcome you. It's a welcome gift. Yes, thank you. Questions by members of the public? Our vast public present this evening? No questions? If you allow, Your Worship, I do have a message, if you allow me. Following the public meeting of September 9th, I'd like to make some clarifications on the public's right to speak during the question period. The public can ask questions during the question period that is held at the beginning of the public meeting. However, we have to make sure that the meetings proceed in an orderly fashion in full decorum in order to ensure the operation of the council meetings. It is not our current practice to give to to give the floor back to residents who want to share the same comments that they've already made publicly, since they were already heard during the public hearing and in consideration and would be considered by council in their analysis. However, as was the case on September 9th, the public can ask new questions during this procedure, and this is what we did that meeting. As the procedural bylaw states in section 10, a question can be accepted by council and answered on the spot, or the answer can be given later in a further meeting or in writing. We recognize the possibility that these explanations and our answers were not sufficiently clear during the meeting on September 9th, and that's why I wanted to clarify that this evening. Thank you. Thank you. No questions by on the phone or web either, which brings us to the adoption of the minutes of the regular council meeting held on September 9th. Who would like to move it? Moved by Councillor Lantaigne, seconded by Councillor Turgeon-Roy. Ready for the question? If not, all those in favor of the adoption of the minutes will signify by saying aye. Contrary, nay. It's carried as presented. Now we move on to motions. Item 11.1, finances. A request for financing from the NB Municipal Finance Corporation. Councillor, Mr. Melançon. Thank you, Your Worship. Councillors, as our first file this evening is for to ask the Municipal Finance Corporation of New Brunswick for a debenture in the amount of $1,118,000. And there are 3 projects that will benefit from this debenture that we are going to ask for. The first is for the Champlain Street between Dieppe Boulevard and Gorvette Street, $363,000. The second is for the trail network on Fox Street and Melançon Street for $375,000, and for the extension of Benjamin Street in the industrial park for an amount of $380,000. We're going to ask for a debenture, and then when the projects are completed, we will get the loan. Thank you. Thank you. Who would like to read the resolution? Councillor Brideau. That council authorizes the clerk, the treasurer, or the mayor to issue and sell to the New Brunswick Municipal Finance Corporation the Dieppe local government debenture in the amount of $1,118,000 on such conditions as are recommended by the corporation, and further authorize that the Dieppe local government agrees to issue post-dated checks payable to the New Brunswick Municipal Finance Corporation as and when they are requested in payment of principal and interest charges on said debenture, and I so move, Your Worship. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Brideau, seconded by Councillor Lantaigne. On the question? All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Contrary, nay. It's carried as presented. 11.2, immigration, financial contribution. Mr. Melançon, this is a request that has been received several times over the last few years. It's a request for a financial contribution to maintain the refugee clinic, and it's to offer legal help to the people who need it. So it's a request for an amount of $5,000 for this year, and the City of Moncton and the Town of Riverview are partners in this initiative as well. So if Council approves, we will proceed with this amount, and we will make sure that it's integrated into the operational budget in future years. And we will also direct the Regional Service Commission that this that it's worth they looking at this, since they are responsible for immigration as well. So the recommendation of $5,000. Thank you. To read the resolution, Councillor Turgeon-Roy. Thank you, Your Worship. That Council authorize a financial contribution in the amount of $5,000 to the New-Brunswick Refugee Clinic, and further authorize that this expenditure be defrayed from account number 1-2-20-25-2155, General Operating Budget, Expenses, Immigration. And I so move it, Your Worship. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Turgeon-Roy, seconded by Councillor Godette. On the question. If not, all those in favor of the resolution will signify by saying aye. Contrary, nay. It's carried as presented. Now we move on to 11.3.1. Cop Street reconstruction. Mr. Melanson? Yes. This is amongst the options for 2025. In order to be ready to go out to tender, we recommend that we hire the engineering services from Roy Consultant to prepare the plans at the cost of $115,000. So we're going to get the plans ready, and then we'll be ready to go out to tender. Thank you. To read the resolution, Councillor Thibodeau. Thank you, Your Worship. That Council authorize Roy Consultants to undertake the engineering services for the project entitled Cop Street Reconstruction at the cost of $75,000 plus HST, and further authorize that this expenditure be defrayed from account number 3-3-35-58-7677, General Capital Budget, Cop Street, and account number 4-3-90-58-76-7677 Water and Sewer Capital Budget, Cop Street. And I so move it, Your Worship. Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Lantaigne. On the question. If not, all those in favor of the resolution will signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. And it's carried as presented. 11.3.2 Engineering Services, Water Main Replacement on various streets. Mr. Melanson, this is in order to authorize the engineering services for a cost of at a cost of $100,000 to prepare the plans for different streets. These streets identified for 2025 include Grand Pré, a section of Notre-Dame Street, as well as a section of La Tour Street. So this is for your consideration, and so that we proceed with the services of EXP. Thank you. Who would like to read the resolution? Councillor Lantaigne. Thank you, Your Worship. That Council authorize EXP Services, Inc. to undertake the engineering services for the project entitled Water Main Replacement, various streets, at the cost of $100,000 plus HST, and further authorize that this expenditure be defrayed from account number 3-3-35-58-7678, General Capital Budget, Water Main Replacement, Grand Pré, Notre-Dame, Thibodeau, and account number 4-3-90-58-7678, Water and Sewer Capital Budget, Water Main Replacement, Grand Pré, Notre-Dame, Thibodeau, and I so move it, Your Worship. Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Lantaigne, seconded by Councillor Jeannet. On the question. Councillor Thibodeau. Yeah, just a clarification. Mr. Melanson, earlier you talked about La Tour Street, but it wasn't mentioned in the resolution. Yeah, I just noticed that. Mr. Cormier, is La Tour Street, is it Grand Pré, La Tour? Is that included here? I just want to make sure that we're clear. Oh, I can't turn it on. It doesn't seem to turn on. Thank you. Good evening. Yes, just for clarification. The three streets I think it's just the way we created the account in finances. So yes, La Tour Street will be reconstructed next year. It is a part of the project. Thank you.
Merci.
Thank you.
Monsieur Brideau.
Councillor Brideau.
Merci, Monsieur le Maire.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Juste une question concernant
Just a question
justement le remplacement
on
du
the
conduit d'eau.
replacement of the water main.
Pas passé aussi la résolution
Last
pour,
year, hadn't we
Sainte-Thérèse?
adopted a resolution for Sainte-Thérèse Street as well? It was supposed to be done as well.
La Sainte-Thérèse est planifiée pour l'année prochaine.
Sainte-Thérèse is planned
L'année
for
prochaine,
next
ça va être
year,
de la rue Paul jusqu'à
and
l'Acadie.
from Paul Street to
Et par la
Acadie
suite,
Street next year, and then from 2026 from Acadie to Notre-Dame.
Je pense que les plans et devis sont déjà faits.
I think that the plans are already drawn up. Yes, they are.
Merci.
Thank you.
Autre question?
Any further questions?
Sinon, ceux qui sont en faveur de
If
la
not,
résolution,
all those in
signifient
favor
par
of the
un oui.
resolution will signify by saying
Opposés,
aye.
avis contraire par un non.
Opposed,
La
nay.
résolution est adoptée
It's
telle que
carried
présentée.
as presented.
Ça nous amène au
Which brings us to 11.3.3.
3.3.
Oui, ici alors
C'est
on
ça,
a
programme de partenariat.
This
pour les
is
routes
the
de
Provincial
proximité.
Municipal Highway
exactement alors,
Partnership
parce que,
Program.
ici on parle de
Yes,
programme pour
here we're
27
talking
à
about a
2031.
program from
C'est pour
2027 to
vraiment donner
2031.
les perspectives
So
de la
it's really
municipalité pour
to
les
give
5 ans qui
the
vont, 26.
perspective
Juste
that the
pour
city has for the
assister
next
les
5
investissements
years,
déjà
starting in
déjà
2027. Now, in
confirmés avec la
2025 and
province et
2026, we
désignés.
already have a
C'est pour
project that has been
sécularisation
confirmed with the
de
province for part of the
l'aviation
designated highways
jusqu'à
from Champlain and l'Aviation right up to Lorette
et
Street, I
l'année
believe.
suivante
And the following
ça
year, it'll be from Lorette Street
dater les limites de la
right
ville,
up,
mais
I was going to say the
pour
city
Moncton
limits,
Flight College,
but
si je m'en
I
rappelle.
think it's right up to the
On a
Moncton
déjà
Flight
ces
College.
engagements-là de la
So
province.
we
Déjà aussi
have those
pour
commitments from the
continuer
province. Our
avec
budgets
ces
are
routes
aligned
d'amélioration des
already
routes
with
désignées.
those
Ici, on regarde
improvements
pour
to the
les
designated
exercices
highways.
conséquents.
Now, this is for the
La lecture
following years.
de la personne qui
So
va faire cette
the
lecture
person who is going to
précise
read this
des
resolution, you
priorités
have to
selon
be
la date d'aujourd'hui.
very clear on our list of
Alors,
priorities. Now, this is the list
considération qu'on va
as of
soumettre
today's
cette
date,
liste
and
au
this is for
niveau
your
du département des
consideration,
transports
and we will submit this list to the New Brunswick Department of Transportation and Infrastructure. Thank you. Who would like to read the resolution? Councillor Jeannin.
Merci, Monsieur le Maire. J'en ai long à lire.
Thank you. I have a lot to read here.
Que le Conseil approuve
That
les
Council
projets
approved the
prioritaires de
City
la
of
Ville de
Dieppe's
dans le
priority
cadre
projects
du
under
programme
the
de
Provincial
partenariat
Municipal
pour
Highway
l'évaluation
Partnership
municipale pour la
Program
période de
for the
2027 à
2027 to
2031, tel
2031
qu'énoncé ci-dessous. 2027,
as outlined below.
préservation de
2027,
l'asphalte,
asphalt preservation,
microsurfaçage, 1
microsurfacing,
101 000, avenue Acadie, secteur
1,101,000 from Acadie Avenue from Champlain Street to Marché Street and Acadie Avenue, Amiro Street from Alain Gillette Street to Melançon Road. Eligible cost 1,101,000. Mill and pave, Amiro Street from Fox Creek Road and Dover Road, including the replacement of the water main. I forgot to read the total figure. It was $3,650,000. The eligible cost, $2.15 million. Ineligible cost, $1.5 million. In 2028, asphalt preservations, microsurfacing, $1,653,000. Champlain Street from the city's western limit to Midland Drive, and Champlain Street from 1067 Champlain Street to Aviation Avenue. Admissible costs $1,653,000. Mill and pave, $980,000. Acadie Avenue from Marché Street to Alain Gillette Street. Eligible cost $980,000. 2029, asphalt preservation, microsurfacing, Amiro Street from Melançon Road to Fox Creek Road for $554,000. Eligible cost $554,000. Mill and pave, Champlain, $2,942,000. I was trying to go a little too quickly there. Champlain Street from Midland Drive to 1067 Champlain Street
et
and
boulevard
Dieppe Boulevard
secteur entre la limite
from the
nord de la
city's
ville
northern
et
limit
le
to
370
370 Dieppe Boulevard.
Coût admissible,
Eligible cost,
$2,942,000.
$2,942,000.
Pour 2030,
2030,
on a
mill and
et
pave,
asphaltage, 2,550,000.
$2.55 million. Amiro Street from Dover Road to the
est
city's
de la
eastern
ville, incluant
limit,
le
including the
remplacement
replacement
de la
of the water main.
Coût admissible,
Eligible cost, $2,070,000. Ineligible cost, $480,000. 2031, asphalt preservation, microsurfacing, $771,000. Champlain Street from Aviation Avenue to 1719 Champlain Street. Eligible cost, $771,000. Mill and pave, $1,760,000. Champlain Street from 1719 Champlain Street to the city's eastern limit. Eligible cost, $1,760,000. And I so move it. Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Jeannet, seconded by Councillor Brideau on the question.
Clarifier un point. Quand est-ce qu'on, j'aimerais
Thank you.
comprendre la relation.
I wanted to understand the relationship between the program partnership for provincial municipal highway partnership and how these programs are administered to maintain the roads that the province is going to continue to be responsible for with the roads that we annexed during that annexation. As the white paper that was implemented, and like all communities in New-Brunswick, the same as ours when we had annexation, the province maintains the management of all the roads in the new territories. 100% of the responsibility is in the hands of the province, and this is how all the provincial associations took a firm stance on. When we have infrastructure, that's the first stage, and then we share the financial responsibility for the maintenance of these roads, but 100% of the responsibility remains in the hands of the province. They develop the program that we have attempted to have many times over, but we still don't. So what can we do as a council to support the citizens who have complaints or issues about the roads when the city isn't responsible for them? We have a partnership program here that we call Provincial Municipal Highway Partnership Program, and I don't want to mix that up with those roads. So what steps can we take as a council to better understand how this is going to be managed to ensure that the citizens living in those areas are as well served as those who are in the current zone? The last request we made to Department of Transportation was to get a complete plan of their program and when they're going to be working on those roads so we can share that with our citizens. That was the last request we made to Department of Transportation and Infrastructure, because without a plan, it's difficult to put the message out. We have new citizens and we want to make sure that they're helped as much as possible. So thank you for that. Thank you, Councillor Thibodeau. Thank you, Worship. I have a question of clarification. I'm wondering why some costs are eligible and others are ineligible. We'll let you share that answer, Mr. Cormier. You're our expert. There are some ineligible costs according to a determined list. So as soon as we get the information, we can go from limit to limit, but underneath it's only the rain or the stormwater. And so the eligible costs are mainly water works. And so we have to cover that 100%. Thank you. Other questions? Seeing none. Who moved that? Councillor Jeannet? So it's moved by Councillor Jeannet, seconded by Councillor Brideau on the question. Those who are in favor will say aye, against nay. Carried. So the motion is carried as read. This brings us to item 11.4, appointments, 11.4.1 for Dieppe Arts and Culture Center. Your Worship, we have received a nomination with the name of Jean-Claude Leblanc, a former employee in the arts and culture sector. So it's recommended that we support his appointment for a period of 3 years. And so we are sharing that information if you so approve. Thank you. To read the resolution, Councillor Brideau. Thank you, Your Worship. The Council appoint Jean-Claude Leblanc on the Board of Directors of the Dieppe Arts and Culture Center for a term ending October 11, 2027. I so move. Moved by Councillor Brideau, seconded by Councillor Turgeon-Roy. On the question, Councillor Gadbout, I just wanted to clarify the term. I know we provide 1 year and 2 year terms, but don't we align that with the fiscal year or the annual meeting of the boards? Here we're reflecting the structure of the Dieppe Arts and Culture Center. It's a combination of our policies and their policies that we have to take into consideration. So it's 3 years, considering the policies and structure of the Dieppe Arts and Culture Center. Thank you. Other questions? All those in favor of the resolution will say aye. Against, nay. The resolution is carried as read, as presented. 11.4.2. Another appointment for the Capitol Theatre. It was put forward by the organization, the resident by the name of Elizabeth Gibson, to sit on the board of directors for the community of Dieppe. It's for a term of 2 years. The annual meeting is happening very soon, and following, then we will put our recommendation forward to the center. To read the resolution, Councillor Turgeon-Roy, that Council appoint Elizabeth Gibson on the Board of Directors of the Capitol Theatre for a term ending October 3rd, 2026. I so move, Your Worship. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Turgeon-Roy, seconded by Councillor Thibodeau. On the question, there being none, all those in favor of the resolution will say aye. Against, nay. The resolution is carried as presented. 11.5, operations, tender award for road salt supply for 2025. Mr. Melanson, it's recommended to go with Nutrien, provider of road salt. We're at this stage of the game for the season. The cost is $66.40 per ton for the 2025 winter season. And so we have begun the process along with the province. So the Public Purchasing Act, when it's to our advantage to do so, we can go ahead with the provincial tenders. And so it is our recommendation. It's the same provider as we had, or supplier as we had last year. And we're comfortable with this recommendation. You have an envelope which deals with the general operating budget. We have a history with regard to salt. We're talking about $200,000 every year. This is what it costs the municipality for salting, to spreading salt on our streets. Thank you. Staff recommendation to read the resolution. Councillor Lantagne. Thank you. It's a very salty bill. That council award the tender for the purchase of road salt to Nutrien at the cost of $66.40 per ton plus HSE for the 2025 winter season, and authorize this expenditure to be defrayed from account number 1-2-35-65-2645, General Operating Budget, Transportation, Salt and Sand. I so move. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Lantagne, seconded by Councillor Gaudette. On the question. There being none, all those in favor of the resolution will say aye.
Ou l'avis contraire par un non?
Against, nay. The resolution is carried as presented. Now, with regard under operations once again, Arthur J. LeBlanc Center renovation towards net zero project. Yes, Your Worship, last week during the Policy and Strategy Committee meeting, we brought forward this matter with a possible revision. It was approved by the Canadian Federation of Municipalities for a energy efficiency project to the amount of $7.5 million. And then following the discussion of this project, various elements needed to be improved in order to put phase one into effect. This was presented to you last week that we were going to consider additional improvements. We revised the request to the FCM. So rather a project of 2.5 million, it's a project of 7.5 million, which increased the FCM's contribution by $2 million. The staff recommends to go with the revised project. These scenarios are in the memorandum. We also have done a summary to do an option for a new ICE service, which would cost about $20 million today. If the council wanted to consider that scenario as well, we maintain the recommendation that we modernize the asset that we have in this arena, and so have a guarantee for the coming 20 years with the control over the calendar of the project and having less impact on those who use the ICE service. However, the decision is up to you. We will also be considering other sources of potential income along with the province. We're in preliminary discussions, but today we cannot confirm this. However, we can confirm that discussion or dialogue will continue. The staff recommendation is to go ahead with the revised project to the tune of $7.5 million. The decision is up to you. It's part of a decision that will have impacts on other possible decisions, but our position is that we should be looking at our assets and how we should be able to extend the useful life of these assets. So this is for your consideration. To read the resolution,
Brideau.
Councillor Brideau. Thank you, Your Worship. That Council approve the Arthur J. LeBlanc Center renovation towards net zero project for a total amount of $7.5 million plus HST, except that the City of Dieppe total contribution to said project be $5.5 million plus HST, and authorize the staff to begin the tendering process for this project in order to carry out the entirety of the work in 2025. I so move, Your Worship. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Brideau, seconded by Councillor Genet. On the question. There's a question. Councillor Godbout. Thank you. Just a couple of points to clear up about the impact. The decision for the initial plan was presented to a council previous to ours. So I feel less bad about asking some questions because I was not an elected representative at the time when the project was voted on. Last week, we mentioned about impact on pickleball. I just wanted to clear up what is the impact on that, on pickleball. With the pickleball course, we talk about changing access to locker rooms and washrooms. I presume we'll have access to the arena during the summer or somewhere else in order to maintain pickleball operations during the summer, in the coming summer. Mr. Book? Mr. Book is coming to the microphone. And also those who are the ice surface, which is just next door to the pickleball courts. Yes, it's going to be a line. Good evening. So pickleball will be able to use the AGL Center, and clearly, if work goes ahead, it'll be on the St. Anselm side, so it will be accessed through Olympic, and so it will be there available to users for summer 2025. That's the change in order to get access to the arena, to get into washrooms and change rooms. You had asked the question, but maybe we had to go a little further on at the project. You have another question? So in the project, the pickleball group will have access within the arena, which will be in proximity to their pickleball courts, which is the current place where equipment is stored. It's going to be changed to a locker room, and pickleball players will be able to use it. And they have access to washrooms as well? Yes, that's right. When we did a cost assessment, I suppose it's very small, but when you look at the comparison to the total cost, there is a loss of income because the arena won't be used for a certain period of time. So what cost is associated to this income loss during the 8 months that the arena cannot be rented out? Maybe Guy could help us with the answer to that question. We assessed it at about $100,000 of loss for a jail. So in theory, this could be added to the project costs in theory. What do we do with the employees of the arena during that period of time? If there's a major impact there, can we send them off to do something else? Will they be there to support the work? During the summer period, we already have reduced staff at AGL because they're working outside. There's always a member or two of the staff, depending on the work that's going on, but they'll be helping with the coordination of that work. And with the fact that the opening of the arena is going to be somewhat delayed, this also helps us in the fall because we don't have enough staff. Because the summer season goes on a little bit into the fall, the summer staff comes into the buildings. So this is a little bit of help during the transitioning from one season to another. There are no savings then, but because there's always kind of work needed. No loss of jobs either, no none. My last question concerns one of my worries about this project, and these are the timelines, which are fairly close. And this is always, it's always a best guess with regard to dates, and we're already at December 1st. So what measures can be used by us to improve chances that the work is going to be done by December 1st? Can we put any incentives or penalties if we do it another way? Are these means that have been used in the past in our contracts? And I say this because December 1st, January 1st, that's a big difference. 1 or 2 weeks of delay can make a big difference. So what are the mitigation measures that we put into place in this work contract in order to ensure that it's truly December 1st, and if not even a little bit earlier? Well, what we use already are these techniques, so penalties with deadlines that you have to comply with. If you look at all the elements to see what is reasonable in the contract, clearly there's a date there. One advantage we have compared to outside project is that most of the work is going to be done indoors. So the bad weather should not affect the deadlines. What could affect it is the delivery of material that is required. But the fact that we're there now, we are putting funds into a future budget. But this is the situation that we can use to mitigate call for tenders during the holidays before things start in the new year. And so if we have a favorable solution, we can start the process immediately. And this will help mitigate some of these constraints, which are always possible. One last question. Perhaps in looking at the various criteria for suppliers, could we think a little bit more about guaranteed dates and deadlines when we choose our suppliers? I know we go with the lowest tender offer always. I don't know if that's involved, but when you're waiting the decision, finishing on time is important. And I give you the example of the what we did on Gauvin Road. We had, everyone's best efforts all efforts were put forward. We approved the project that the project would be done by start of school. We had, you had to change all the routines and start them, doing them all again in October. We wanted to do that, but that wasn't accomplished. I don't want to be in the same situation with a project like this one, where you're forecasting December 1st, and on the holidays, the families are asking us why the arena isn't open, and we have to explain that. So I'm just asking what we can do, what is within our means that are available to us without redoing all the processes in order to put the emphasis on the timing of this project, because for me it's very important, and it's very important for the community, this project, and it would go well along in wanting to do this year, or waiting where another time where we could find the means to do it and preparing people. The message is very clear, Your Worship, and we will ensure that we have the parameters in place for what we can control. There are always things that happen that are unforeseen, but what we have control over, we will make sure that we have the framework that is going to allow us, with the contractor that we choose, that it be very clear with regard to what our expectations are and what the penalties are if these deadlines aren't respected. And so we will have that in place. Councillor Godet. Thank you, Your Worship. I was looking at the two options, option 1 and 2, it was 2.5 million compared to the 7.5 million. If we go with the one or the other, the useful life of the arena, is it going to be longer with 7.5 million? Like I'm asking of the life cycle. Mr. Bourque? The life cycle, well, the building as we know it today is for another 25 years. That's not to say that we're only going to get 25 years out of it. We're hoping for more, but the life cycle, it relates to other elements in the building that we are looking at. The floor, which has already gone beyond its useful life cycle, it was 45 years and now we're on our 51st or 52nd year for life cycle. So now we've extended the life cycle of that floor within the building. The structure of the building itself, as we know it today, is still good for at least another 25 years. One last question, if I may. Have we taken into consideration this renovation, because we know, we know what a new building would cost us. I know we're talking about boards and finding different things. Have we allocated funding for that, for any unforeseen items? Yes, we have amounts forecast in budgets for these unforeseen items. The boards and the seating, these are going to be taken out of the building. But yes, there are contingencies and amounts set aside for unforeseen circumstances for other parts of the building. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? For the resolution, all those in favor of the resolution will say aye. Against, nay. The resolution is carried as presented. 12.1, bylaw C1, Mr. Melanson. This evening, we are doing the summary reading and third reading of title of the bylaw relating to traffic and parking in the city of Dieppe. The summaries are clear, and so let's read them. Thank you. To read the resolution, Councillor Turgeon-Roy, please. Thank you, Your Worship. It's not a penalty. Bylaw relating to traffic and parking, C1 2024. Under the powers designated under the local governance in 2017, Chapter 18, and the Motor Vehicle Act, RNB, 1973, Chapter M-17, the Municipal Council of Dieppe passes as follows: sections and annex Do we mean unchanged compared to those were mentioned in C21 passed July 8th, 2024, except the amendment to Annex A entitled bans parking prohibited. 18 and 48 are replaced by which follows. 6, aquatic roads at all time, the right side from Dieppe Boulevard in south direction for a distance of 30 meters. B, 15 from Boulevard Dieppe in southerly direction for a distance of 31 meters. C, at all time from 100 foot north from Dieppe Boulevard in the southerly direction for 45 meters. And B, at any time from 230 meters from Dieppe Boulevard for a distance of 130 meters. E, at any time north side from 360 from Dieppe to the northern direction on a distance of 100 meters. F, at all times from 477 meters from Dieppe Boulevard northerly from a distance of 60 meters. J, at any time right side from Avenue Principal West at the end of Aquatic Street south for a distance of 24 meters. H, at any time right side from Avenue Principal West to the end of Aquatic Street south for a distance of 42 meters, and more than 15 minutes right side from 93 meters from Avenue Principal West to the end of Aquatic Street south side for a distance of 51 meters. J, at any time from 144 meters from Avenue Principal West to the end of Aquatic for a distance of 91 meters to the beginning of Avenue Principal West. K, at any time right side for the entire length north for a distance of 36 meters. L, 32 meters from the beginning of Rue Principal West north to a distance of 49 meters. M, at any time right side from 66 meters from the beginning of Avenue Principal West north for a distance of 85 meters to Dieppe Boulevard. And 48 Lorette Street. A, at any time west from Champlain Street south to Lakeburn Street. And B, at any time from April 1st to November 30th east side Champlain Street south to Lakeburn Road. I so move in summary. Thank you. To support Councillor Brideau on the question. Seeing none, all those in favor of this resolution will say aye. Against, nay. So bylaw C1 2024-1 is passed as presented. This brings us to third reading by title alone. Bylaw dealing with traffic and parking in the city of Dieppe. I so move by third reading by title alone. Moved by Councillor Turgeon-Roy, seconded by Councillor Brideau on the question. And no questions. All those in favor of the resolution will say aye. Against, nay. The resolution is passed as presented. This brings us now to 12.2.1, third reading by title alone. I'm sorry, 12.2. Oh, I'm sorry. 12.2.1 for summary, Local Governance Act. Councillor Genet. Thank you, Your Worship. Bylaw A-8 2024, bylaw of the municipality of Dieppe respecting the pension plan for the employees of the city of Dieppe. Pursuant to the authority vested in it by the Local Governance Act SNB 2017, Chapter 18, and the Pension Benefits Act, Chapter P-51, the Council of the Municipality of Dieppe, 1973, Chapter. The Council of the Municipality of Dieppe duly assemble and acts as follows. Articles and bylaw number 8 remain unchanged, is in bylaw 8-8, passed December 12, 2022, except for the amendments to Annex A entitled A Bylaw for the Municipality of Dieppe respecting the pension plan for the employees of the City of Dieppe. 1. Change from the rate of contributions to unionized employees of Category A and change of name for the insurance company of London Life to Canada Life. I so move by summary reading. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Jeannin, seconded by Councillor Brideau on the question. There being none, all those in favor of the resolution will say aye, against nay. The resolution is carried as presented.
C'est la troisième
Oui.
troisième lecture par titre seulement.
Alors, arrêté A-8 2024, arrêté de la municipalité de Dieppe concernant un régime de retraite pour les employés de la ville de Dieppe. Je le propose en troisième lecture par titre.
Merci. Proposé
I
par
so move it by title only. It's been moved and seconded on the question. No questions. All those in favor of this bylaw will signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. It's carried as presented. Next, which brings us to bylaw Z-10, 2021-13 to amend the City of Dieppe zoning bylaw at 452 Amiro Street, and to read this in its entirety.
Madame Jeannin.
Councillor Jeannin.
Merci, Monsieur le Maire.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Arrêté Z-
Bylaw number Z-10,
2021-13,
2021-13,
modifiant l'arrêté
a
du
bylaw to amend the City of Dieppe zoning bylaw. The Council of the City of Dieppe, under the authority vested in it by the Community Planning Act, SNB 2017, Chapter 19, enacts as follows. The City of Dieppe zoning bylaw, being bylaw number Z-10, 2021, enacted on the 12th day of April 2021 and filed in the Westmoreland County Registry Office as number 411-73189 on April 15th, 2021, is hereby amended as follows. Schedule A, entitled City of Dieppe Zoning Map, wherever it is mentioned in the text of the zoning bylaw, is amended by the map hereto attached as Schedule A-9. And I so move it reading in its entirety. Thank you. To second this, Councillor Thibodeau on the question. No questions. All those in favor of the resolution will signify by saying aye.
Oui.
Yes.
On a à main levée, Monsieur le Maire.
À main levée, s'il vous plaît.
By raising your hands, please.
4 pour, Monsieur le Maire.
Four,
Contre.
and opposed.
3 personnes qui est contre.
3 opposed. Councillors Lantaigne, Godbout, and Turgeon-Roy, and Lise Leboutillier that just joined the meeting. Thank you. So it's 4-4. So I am in favor of the resolution, which brings us to the reading, third reading by title only. In title only. Councillor Jeannin, bylaw number Z-10, 2021-13, a bylaw to amend the City of Dieppe zoning bylaw, and I so move it in third reading. Thank you. It's been moved in third reading by Councillor Jeannin, seconded by Councillor Thibodeau. Thibodeau, thank you. Sorry about that. All those in favor of the resolution will signify by saying aye.
Alors, les quatre mêmes personnes.
So the same
Jeannin,
for
Brideau,
Jeannin, Brideau,
Godet.
Thibodeau, and Godet, and those opposed, the same for Councillors Lantaigne, Godbout, Turgeon-Roy, and Leboutillier. And I vote in favor, so it's 5-4.
Alors, l'arrêté est adopté, Monsieur le maire.
So it's carried. It's carried as presented. Bylaw C2 2024, and this is a bylaw relating to the collection and disposal of waste. Yes, it's a member of council that is giving a notice that this bylaw will be introduced at a future council meeting. So a council member has to read the notice of motion. Councillor Thibodeau. Thank you, Your Worship. Notice of motion, bylaw C2 2024. I give notice that bylaw C-2 2024 entitled a bylaw relating to the collection and disposal of waste in the City of Dieppe will be introduced at a future council meeting for first and second reading. Thank you. So that's been done. The notice has been given.
Donnez la parole à la conseillère Godbout, Monsieur le maire.
Would you like to give the floor to Councillor Godbout?
Merci.
Thank you, Councillor Godbout. I give a notice of motion that amendments to bylaw 4/2024, procedural bylaw of the City of Dieppe on the right of citizens to ask questions during public meetings will be introduced at a future council meeting for first and second reading. Thank you. And if you could clarify if there are resources available to help in the preparation of the bylaw, we'll get back to you tomorrow on that. Thank you. Now, councillors, if any councillors have comments, we'll start at the other end. Councillor Lantaigne, do you have anything for us this evening? No, I do not, except that I wish everybody a happy fall that started yesterday. Thank you. Have a great evening. Thank you, Councillor Godbout. Just a reminder that there are public meetings of the CRPA. I just learned that the meeting scheduled for the 26th of September this week will be on October 3rd, and this will be confirmed on the CRPA website, I'm sure. But it would seem that the meeting is scheduled for the 26th of September has been moved to October 3rd. Thank you. Councillor Turgeon-Roy. Thank you. I have a question. A comment that I received from a citizen who lives in the downtown area. I'm sorry, I think I read too much. I've lost my voice here. Somebody who lives in the downtown. People are noticing that it's becoming harder and harder to get around downtown and to cross Paul Street specifically. Several say that they have witnessed experiences or near misses. Witnesses accidents, yes, or near misses. So some people say it's no longer a choice. They have to. They now people don't have a choice. They have to take their car to go to Champlain Mall, and some people moved downtown in order to avoid taking the car. But I know we had planned for putting in some pedestrian crossings, but is this the best option that we have currently for these crosswalks? Because given that the traffic has gone up so much, has increased. For example, the crosswalk at Mathieu Martin that just has a red light, that seems to work really well compared to just a blinking light, a flashing light in a place where there's a lot of traffic. Just to know, is that something that we're planning? Is it something that we could review? Thank you for your comment. Do you have any specifics about the place and the time. Well, I don't have those details right now, but it's often at peak rush hour, you know, at lunchtime, in the morning, lunchtime, and in the evening, at peak times, I think, and especially the cross between Paul and Sunset Street, just at the bottom there, there's an intersection. And that's where the problems are mostly. I think that at the lights, that's not where the lights are, but there are places where they're just flashing lights, and I'm just wondering if that's the best option to ensure the safety of the pedestrians in the downtown. We'll look at that with staff. Thank you. Thank you. Is that all? Yes, that is. Thank you, Councillor Thibodeau. Thank you, Your Worship. I have 2 points. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Camille Frenet for her 4th place at the Paralympic Games in Paris. There was a great article on her at Radio-Canada last night. And Thursday night of this week, the program for the Dieppe Arts and Culture Center is going to be presented with music. So if you want to know what the program is going to be for the next year, show up Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. at the Arts and Culture Center. Thank you, Councillor Brideau. Thank you, Your Worship. I don't have much to add this evening, except to say that I had the chance to meet Camille last weekend at IGA. She was signing autographs, talking to people. She was really nice, and I was really happy to be able to congratulate her myself. Thank you, and that's all I have. Thank you, Councillor Jeannin. Thank you. I have nothing this evening either. Councillor, who's left? Councillor Le Boutillier, sorry. Thank you, Your Worship. I have nothing this evening. Thank you. Councillor Godette. Thank you, Your Worship. I had raised my hand, but perhaps you hadn't seen it, but I had a question about in 11.3.3, where we had the partnership program for the provincial municipal highways. And it's not a large section, but between Du Marché Street and Alain Gillette, is there a reason that's only going to be in 2028 is because there's construction on both sides, because it's really in bad shape. It's not a large stretch of road, but a lot of cars use it. And I think another 4 years on that road. I'm just wondering why that's been put off until 2028. I know that it's a partnership, and I'd just like to know why. Yeah, and for the next 2 years, the requests have already been made, so we couldn't add it to those years. But a little bit like we did last year, if we have a certain flexibility, if we have any money left over, that's the first place we would go. For next year, we're going to be on Champlain Street from Aviation to Lorette, and then in 2 years, we'll be on Champlain from Lorette to the flight school. If there's any amounts left, we're going to try and do it then. But in the next few weeks, Quest is going to go dig up the road for 250 Acadie in order to connect up. And they own the 2 lots on the other side of the road. But before we pave it all, they want to connect to those 2 lots as well. So that's what we're going to try and do. But if they're not ready, well, I mean, maybe we would go do it and we charge them later, but we need to coordinate really. And ideally, we'd go there before 2028. Yeah. Yeah, it's just, that's what I thought. Because of the construction on both sides of the road, it wouldn't make much sense to do it once and then have to redo it. But as soon as they're done on their both sides, then I think it would be a priority. Thank you. Thank you. And that's all for me. Thank you. Thank you and have a great evening, everybody. Thank you. See you next time.